You are in Media Land. How you doing? We just finished the radio broadcast, and I realized that I was not able to go live on Facebook page or on the Sanctuary Ministries YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch page. So I'm back here for another talk, and Bishop Robert, Prophet Jimmy is going to join us. What can I say, guys? I think I'm just getting a problem with the delivery here, so bear with me. Okay, I'm gonna have to send that again. Okay. Stay with us, guys. When we were live, we I think it's Prophet Jim was having a bit of challenge, but we managed to get through. And it's like when you're having these kind of programs, the last thing you want to do is have hiccups, hiccups. I call them hiccups. But we did well by the grace of God, and we thank God for his life. Bishop Robert is going to join us too. So let's see how we go from here. For those who did not get the chance to join, I wasn't able to look at the comments because we just got that window of time, and so it was just I just felt like I just got to use the time that I had to just focus and get the show on the road. So here we are again live, and I'm just waiting for them to come in. Come on in. I'm gonna let's see who is here. If you're here with us, say hello. Sister Rana, how are you doing? Did you enjoy that? We're back again because the time just went. I mean, as soon as we log in, and then Prophet Jimmy was having a bit of challenge. So I thought, you know what, he's waiting in the background, and we're gonna go. Let's see if we got a little time. Whoever is coming in, let's see how much time we have. I mean, I was just talking to this man of God, and my plate was back and forth. It's like with these amazing nuggets, and it's only for hungry hearts. Not everybody can take this stuff. You gotta be really hungry to enjoy this thing here. So, Sister Ronald, good to have you here. I mentioned you to him. We were doing a test run, and I talked about Sister Ronald, hungry heart, and he was telling me about something that the Lord was mentioning to him about hungry hearts. So I think they're both waiting for the code. Let's see. Well, I left church early so I could be on Facebook. You left church to be at church. Isn't that sweet? I left church to be at church. We're talking about Sister D yesterday. Oh, bless her soul. Prophetess D was at work, not yesterday, but a couple of days ago, at work, and it's like I'm meant to be at work, but seriously, what's going on? What the Lord is doing right now? I just wanna I don't want to miss what he's doing. So I'm just bear with me while I send the link again to Prophet Jimmy. I think I sent so many links and he got a bit muddled up, and he's getting used to this. But we're gonna spend a bit more time with the prophets today. Stay with us, guys. Mr. Ronald left church to be at church. You're so funny. That's so sweet of you. This is it. When Sister Michelle was talking the other day, Sister Ronald, and she talked about what a wonderful woman of God, and she talked about the church being a net, and Alan talks about not messing up the wineskin. I put it in my own words. And the church is really a net that draws people in. And unfortunately, not everybody who comes in are meant to be there. But he has got a way of weeding out what's meant to be there from what's not meant to be there. So we want to be a part of what God is doing. I'm just sending the code to the prophets right now. Bear with me, guys, and bring them on in. And we're going to stay here for a little while. Let's see what God will do with us here. I get that code again because I'm live. So I think they're struggling to get online because the code is a bit messed up, but let's do this. If I don't get it right, everything goes funny. So pray for me, guys. This is it. Okay. Pray for me. Okay, that's sent to Jimmy. Let me call him and ask him to click on the link. If you can share the video, just share the video, and let's see who else will log in. Let's see who else will log in. I'm sending it again to Bishop. Prophet Jimmy, I send you a link just now. Can you click on it for me, please? And then come on in. I also added Bishop Dowell. He will be with us too.
So the code is forthcoming, you're saying?
I just send it to you. I mean, you may get a lot, but just the recent one, most recent. Okay, yeah, Bishop is here. You found it?
I'll check now.
Okay.
Okay, it's just come, so I'll hang up and I'll go right on now.
Okay, go ahead. My love. Bishop D. Bishop D, how are you?
Oh, very well. We Alan and Michelle and I has been sharing testimonies, things of God, our lives and everything this morning. It's been very a few tears here and there and some laughter, and anyway, it's been
I wish wonderful. You were live. I wish you were here with the people. We want you both. We want you all. You can't just do that by yourself.
Well, we're sitting around in our mostly in our early morning stuff.
Are you there now together?
They're sitting in the living room and I'm sitting in the kitchen. I'm not sure if they're. Hey, gang. You're not ready to go live, are you? Or are you? Alan?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind.
Yeah. Alan's okay.
If you could send me Alan's email, I could send him the link and he could do it from his phone.
Okay, you want to do it from your phone? I mean, each have our phone, and we're going
he hasn't
live.
Seen Look who's here.
Oh, there's Jimmy. Hey, I wish I had my computer. I can't see very well. Jimmy, do you have any more light? If you could just have a little bit more light, I could see you better.
You got to come a bit forward, Jimmy. A bit forward. Jimmy? Prophet Jimmy? He's frozen.
There he is.
Okay.
Yeah. Hold the. Yeah, you're kind of breaking up a little bit. Oh, okay. We have to give them your email. You can send send your email to Prophetess Lydia at Gmail.
Okay.
And then they'll get it. So
Sister Rana says, "Hi, Bishop Dowell." You know what Sister Rana says? She said, "Wow, I left church early so I could be on Facebook."
Oh, wow.
She left church to be on at church.
Wait, yeah, you didn't leave church. You just switched churches. You switched bodies, you know. There you are, Jimmy. But you're kind of, you look a little frozen there, like it's not live or something. Sorry, don't take that the wrong way.
And faded out. It's coming back now.
Okay. All right. Okay, Michelle and Alan are sending you their links.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, lovely.
Nice hat.
Okay, you want to have a good background, or not a bad one anyway. Like anywhere over there would be fine.
Sister Rana said she just switched church.
You're a church switcher.
She's looking for food, my dear. She's looking for food.
I know. She got a taste of whatever food that God is giving us, and we're the same way, Sister Rana. We are the same way. Can't get enough. Can't get enough. So, can we turn a light on in here? I don't know how to do that.
I'm going to go outside. We might get feedback since we're using 3 devices.
Oh,
She's gonna go back
oh
to
yeah,
the-
right.
Yeah,
Oh,
so I'm
good
gonna
thinking.
go. Otherwise,
Alan says if we have all 3 devices on, we might be getting feedback. So we're
Definitely so.
gonna split up. He's smart about things like that.
Sister Rhonda says, I'm hungry.
I'm hungry. There used to be a commercial like that. I can't remember what it was, but Hungry Jack, or I don't know what it was. But yeah, I understand.
I'm still waiting.
We have this living bread from heaven, and it's the only one there is, that living bread. It doesn't mean that it doesn't come to other bodies and churches and other places. It's coming all over the earth. It's like raining down. And but we want to pick up our portion, whichever,
Thank you,
and
Lord.
it doesn't last over the day, in a sense. I mean, it does and it doesn't. It turns into these the things of the leaves of the tree of life, but we need more the next day. Just like they would pick up the manna and they would go out, and it says, don't keep it overnight. Don't keep it overnight, and then if they do, it turns into worms,
Mm-hmm.
So you have to go out and get fresh every day, this daily manna. So it's Prophetess Lydia has been doing daily manna off and on, I guess, for how many years now?
Since 2018.
2018, the Lord gave her this. And then the Lord brought us together, and we picked it up, and we've been running with it. And now all of you are in this with us. And now we have our faithful, wonderful, awesome brother and prophet Jimmy in here with us, and God's bringing in Alan and Michelle, and we've got Sue, and we just have a whole host of fellow laborers going out and picking up manna. So it's awesome. Anyway, love it.
I don't know why Prophet Jimmy's video is freezing.
Well, there's an awful lot of titles there.
Better to know you, my dear.
It's free. Your video is freezing.
It seems like my voice comes in later.
It's like a delay. Do you have the phone on?
Well, I'll join you all for a little bit longer.
There's a delay in your voice.
Yeah, it's skipping. I wonder if you're on Wi-Fi or... Yeah, are you on Wi-Fi?
It goes around twice.
Where are you on your computer, or is it?
I'm on wireless router.
Okay. It wasn't like that during the broadcast.
Yeah.
Cool.
No. Well, during the broadcast, a little.
Not working.
Are you still there, Jimmy?
I heard myself throughout the broadcast, but I realized
It wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. Was
it clear?
It was clear, but
Okay.
a little glitch here and there, but enough for me to recap and repeat.
Okay.
It wasn't like this is bad. I don't know what's going on. What's the difference? Like, why is it like this bad? The video.
I gotta take it around because I had a little thing popped up.
No,
Instead, do that.
Say that
Yeah.
again.
not working. Oh, he's going to get into a better spot. That'll
I
work.
think so. Yeah.
His Wi-Fi is good there.
Hmm.
Just needs to be closer to the
And
router.
the
Maybe.
router was messing up.
Did Michelle and Alan send the link?
I think so.
I've not received.
So I don't know if this is any better.
Okay. That's better, but you're not in the frame. Sorry, guys. We're just trying to sort a little in-house thing here. But your phone is quite clear. Okay.
Yeah.
Here we are. Are you on your phone, Jimmy? Prophet Jimmy?
No, I'm
Some
on the computer.
Okay. You're on the computer. Okay, that's better. That looks better. It's not
Okay.
freezing anymore.
Okay, move around a little bit. We want to see if it's working.
Is it
Move or
live?
talk.
It's live.
Yeah,
You're
now.
live. That's better. The quality is better. And we
So I
can
closed all the open files that were up there from the other shows.
There you go. Now you're good.
now you're good.
Okay.
Thank you
Well,
guys for waiting for us.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Let me check on Alan and Michelle. Did you? So you don't see their email, right?
It's not there yet.
Okay. I'm just gonna put my phone.
I think he's going to get his laptop, his maybe computer on.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you were on the radio, Prophet Jimmy, I got a message from the host that on the social media it was clear, but on the radio it was kind of lagging a little. So I told her, never mind. I didn't want an interruption. I told her I would recap, but it went well. It went well.
What was the voice was slower or something?
It's like breaking.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
you would speak a little and then the end just disappears. But yeah, I recap the bits that were not very clear. I caught it and it went well. I mean, the time went by so quickly. But I think you clicked on you went somewhere else instead of clicking on the last link I sent.
So coming on this form right now?
Yeah. No, on the radio.
Oh, yeah, on the radio, I was clicked and waiting to go on, but I was on the one that already expired.
It's my bad. I shouldn't have sent you so many links.
Well,
I
I figured that out for myself now, so it's coming back. I used to use the computer, but when they started changing formats, I lagged behind and almost got to where I didn't know anymore.
Yeah.
But I'm coming back to it.
Yeah. So I was happy that you were able to get back in.
But I was watching my phone knowing that I was watching the time and said, all right, we're 12 minutes in. This is getting to be crisis time. When I saw your call came in on WhatsApp, then we figured it out.
Because she sent me a message that I've not seen your visitor, your guest. Where's your guest? He's not in the studio. I'm like, okay, I got to make a call. When I was live, I'm like, I'm going to be on the radio making a call. But I couldn't help it. I had to do it.
Well, everybody thought I went fishing.
But there you go. And you did. You caught some lovely fish and they got it. You did well, my love. I'm not hearing you. You're mute. I think he's speaking.
You sound great, Bob.
Okay. There's no sound. Go ahead. There's no sound. No sound. We're not hearing you. I think he's on mute.
Yeah, Bob, you might be on mute.
You're on mute. We're not hearing you.
Plus, his live feed to me is like freezing. It's going burp, 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 burp.
I think he just changed position as well, and it's a little going funny. We're not hearing you. No sound. On mute. On mute. No sound. That's it. Sister Zion from Ethiopia is here. Thank you for joining us, Zion.
From Ethiopia?
She's from Ethiopia. Yeah. Wonderful. Oh, you visited Ethiopia, you said on the radio, didn't you?
Yeah. So where is she?
Where in Ethiopia are you, Sister Zion? Prophet Jimmy was there some years ago. What was your experience like? Can you share a little while Bishop get his thing sorted?
Well, I was invited by a man that I run with for 30 years, and he had traveled to Ethiopia 11 times prior and invited me to travel there. I traveled by myself I flew into Addis Ababa, and then I had a connecting flight to Mekelle, or as they say, Mekelle.
She's in Adama. Okay.
And yeah, that was it.
Yeah, she's in Adama. Have you heard of Adama?
No, I think that might be in the south. I was almost up near Eritrea. Or that's how you say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, my daughter accompanied me on another trip there, and it influenced her art a lot. She's an artist.
So was that mission trip?
You could say that. I traveled independently and accompanied other people that were doing various missions for God, orphanage stuff, yeah, and meeting with, at that time there was a Bible translation going on, so I met the translators. They were all these Orthodox like bishops in a room disputing over words. It was quite an interesting thing, and I ended up on the floor. I couldn't stand and I couldn't sit because the presence of angels over those men was so intense for me.
Wow.
They were wrangling over words to translate to a Bible for one of the languages that they speak there. And it was very new to me, all that stuff. That was maybe in the year 2000, I think. Who knows? I can't remember. Anyway, so I have a soft heart I have a soft place in my heart for Ethiopia. And I only drink Ethiopian coffee.
Oh, wow. Sister Zion is here, Bishop. That's why he's talking like that.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I was wondering because I was thinking that maybe that was so.
Yeah, Zion is from Adama or Nazareth.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll look that up on Google Earth. Wave your hand.
I'm doing it right now. I can't wait. I've got to know.
Right.
Did Alan send the link to the
They've sent the link. I don't know what's going on.
prophetesslydia@gmail.com?
Yep. I checked it to make sure that it was the right spelling, and it was. So I don't know what's going on.
So Zion says, "Oh, our coffee is good."
Oh yeah.
Well, you know, we're looking right at a divine connection, a preordained before the foundation of the world connection.
Can you send me the email, Bishop, please? Sorry, just send me the email.
What?
Can you just tell me Alan's email?
Oh, I don't know what it is.
Or
but
Michelle?
I can. Well, they stepped outside because they didn't want to cause a problem. But here, let me Alan, Michelle? I think they're outside. Just give me and tell me your email, and then I'll send it. I'll tell her, or here you can tell her
Okay.
right there.
Hi, Michelle.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Good to see you again.
I can barely hear her.
Let me turn my volume up. Is
Oh,
that better?
No, it's going to my
Okay.
there.
So,
All right. Now,
is that better?
yeah, that's better.
Okay.
My email is MSKIE7.
7 as
Mskip,
in
yeah, mskip7@gmail.com.
SKIP? I missed.
MKIP7.
Okay. Gmail. Okay, lovely. I got that.
Thank you. I'm gonna give it to Alan.
Lovely. Thank you.
Hi, Lydia.
Hi, Alan.
Mine,
If I send it to Michelle, she could send it over to you. Is that okay?
sure. Yeah, if the link's the same, just do that.
Yeah, the link is the same. So I just send it to her and she'll send it to you.
Okay, perfect.
Good, good. See you in a bit.
See you in a bit.
Lovely. So here we are, guys. Bishop is back.
When
You-
we're
You were
When
saying
we're-
something about divine connection.
okay. These divine connections, they're I think sometimes we're looking at connections based on organization or right hand of fellowship or I've joined this church and made a commitment, that kind of thing.
There's a muffle. There's a muffle on your sound. Like,
A muffle?
yeah, it's a kind of
How's that? Is that better?
that's a little better.
Well, next time I'll have my computer. I could put it all back together again, but I'm getting ready to leave here in not too long.
Okay.
Go to Houston, but so we have to be trained now in understanding divine connections, where our spirit, where the Spirit of the Lord is connecting us to another member of His body. That is a special connection, like with Jimmy. So, Prophet Jimmy and Prophetess Lydia. Now, I recognized a divine connection to Prophetess Lydia in 1991. Not a physical one, not a friendship one, but a divine connection. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know where it was going. I had no idea. All I knew was that was the connection. So when I would go to Jamaica, she would sort of sometimes be my secretary or my little guide, to guide me through the Jamaican culture. And it would kind of come and go, but it was there. And so we didn't know that divine connection would be established in the kind of way that it is now, that she's my wife. Who could have ever dreamed or thought that?
God.
But God knew. So, but I knew that was a divine connection. But I thought it was just, for ministry, and which it is, and that's primarily, I think. Well, not primarily. I mean, God does things in the full way that only He can do it. But in our recognizing this, we see the Ezekiel 37 dry bones coming together. It is so important that we recognize this, because that's the functioning, living body of Christ. Now, other associations and commitments in churches, I don't want to diminish their importance, but even within a local body, you will be connected with some people differently than others. by the Spirit. And as John says, he writes, he says, we knew Jesus according to the flesh, but no longer. We knew one another according to the flesh, but no longer. We know each other by the Spirit.
Spirit.
And in that process, we realize, I'm connected in some kind of way I do not yet understand, but this person is important to me, to my life in God, to the Lord. He's going to use this in some special way. So when I came here this time, the Lord showed me these little lights. One of them was Jimmy. I've got to go see Jimmy. And Jimmy recognized that as well. And it was like, he just opened the door, and we're both excited to be together with him and his wife, Linda. And the same thing here. And they calling me, saying, "Oh, we're so excited about you coming." And then I'm going to see, just giving examples of this. I'm going to see in California, in San Diego. I'm going to see someone that God established a divine connection with in 1975, and we've kept up over the years. And every time I go out to California, I see her. But this is a different step. This is not only a divine connection, but a divine moment. And so, and they're eager for me to come out. And it's not personal. I mean, it's something more than that. It's beyond that. And I'm not talking about me or even us. I'm talking about what God wants to do in all of our lives in the Lord to recognize these divine connections. And Sister Zion in Ethiopia is one of them. I have no idea why. I don't have any more information other than when we're going around, we carry her in our heart, and every once in a while, it just pops up. So the Lord may have something there for us, but we will just wait because He's the one that has to orchestrate all of this. So, but everyone within that's listening and will listen in the future, we just want to share this testimony of how God works in our lives with these divine connections. And it's not based on anything other than the Spirit of God knitting together His universal body of Christ in the way He designed it for His purposes. So Samuel goes to the house of Jesse and goes through the first 7 sons, and is there another? And then David comes down and he anoints him, that divine connection, but based on the Lord's selection. So I just wanted to share that's what we're about, and as Jesus said, I mean, and we can see Jesus walking, and all of a sudden, well, you call yourself Simon, and I call you Peter, I call you Petra, I call you Rock. Divine connection. And the Lord knows whom those 12 disciples, the apostles, are that the Father has selected. No man can come to me unless the Father draw him. And so that's all He's looking for. He's looking for the ones that the Father is bringing. He gives invitations, but they have to answer. The rich young ruler, he gave an invitation, but he couldn't follow, and Jesus was grieved. That divine connection that could have been was not, at least at that time. So our recognizing this, rather than looking at men and receiving favor from men and waiting for men to raise us up or to put us in some place, we are waiting for God and watching for Him and these divine connections so that He can connect us, and He will be the one that raises us up. Men would have no power over us unless it is given to them by our Father in heaven. So we live by these things. we throw away the old ways. We get rid of them. They diminish in influence and in power and in knowledge and in scope of our life and our worldview. And we begin to think like Jesus thinks. We have the mind of Christ. And that's how he thinks. And that's how reality is. So then we are looking at the invisible things and not the visible things. And we are not swayed by the opinions of men. Amen.
That's just wonderful.
Great sermon.
This is Jimmy. This is my brother, whom the Lord has given us love and respect for one another, to be able to receive from one another without jealousy, without envy, to hear and to wait, to, not just to talk and fill, the other person with all of our stuff, but to give a little bit and then to listen and hear. What is God saying to you? And it's not like some religious thing. It's not like, thus saith the Lord. It's when you speak, I'm listening. What is the Spirit giving me? Because there's something there. And there's no manipulation of it. There's no, I'm trying to impress you. Or we're sharing sharing the precious nuggets, the precious things that we paid a price for, and that Jesus paid a price for, and we're sharing them, and we're sharing these pearls, and we're not trampling them in the mud of this earth and temporal things and temporal ambitions, and we're not allowing the enemy to come in. He's coming, but he has no place in us. He has no place in me. He can take my body, but he cannot take my spirit. He cannot take my soul. I'm not giving him permission for my body right now.
It's beautiful. Bishop, just a minute. I think Michelle's email came back. I think something's not right there.
It's
I didn't.
M as in Mary, Skip,
SCIP?
SKIP.
SKIP. Okay, carry on, my dear.
7.
Okay, I got it now.
Okay. Sorry, I shouldn't have taken that thing down. I was just worried that it was kind of set up in such a way maybe we might trip over the cord or something. But anyway, I could take time to do it, but it'd take about 10 minutes.
That's okay.
But
right here.
But anyway, I'm so excited to hear because we were so, Michelle and Alan and I were just so, we were sharing something that couldn't be interrupted. And they were sharing some things from their heart and their life that I knew about superficially, but I did not know the depths of it, and they were sharing that, so I couldn't come online or see what was going on. But yet here we are.
Here we are.
So Jimmy, what was the experience like? Can I ask that question? Because I'm wondering. Once you got the technical glitches out of the way.
It was all pretty smooth, I wanted to attach to what you were talking about. It took me a while to sort of become comfortable with divine connections. Mm-hmm. One day I was driving along and the word of God came into my mind and spoke to me in my own voice. But he also sounded a little bit like a New York gangster. He said to me like this: "So what do you think? Somebody's going to walk up to you and explain all this?" And I said, I thought about it for a while and I said, "Yeah." But there was no reply. So no reply is a response from God. So that was the beginning of it, where I began to allow my expectation of how I thought my spiritual maturity and growth would occur. I allowed it to become disassembled, dismantled, deconstructed, however you want to say it. So my personal experience was that first. I had gained a lifetime of experiences. I ran with some of the big stars early, withdrew from the game, so to speak, because it became a little competitive and dangerous. Plus, I was a tree man before I became a man of God, you know? So after being quieted, I had this desperation inside of me, like, but, but what? But what? So when I was living in New York, I remember one day I couldn't contain my desire for more. And there was nobody around me speaking words of life. I had no well to go to. So I went to shop at a food store and I went on strike. I stood in front of the store and I said, God, I'm going to stand here until you send somebody. Send anybody. They don't even have to know what they're talking about. Just send them up to me, look me in the eye, and say something. Even if they say to me, get out of my way. So I stood there for like an hour. And when you're waiting, specifically, an hour goes by like 8 hours. Not like when we're on the forum here, time just flies by. Nothing happened. I walked away. I finally conceded. God wasn't going to do it on my terms. So that's when I began to learn that God has his terms and I have mine, and he doesn't change.
Right. We're on strike, eh? Okay, how many can relate to that, huh?
Yeah.
We don't maybe call going on strike, but we butter him up, you know, and try to butter him up and say everything we think he wants to hear, and then we whip out the thing we're really interested in as if he couldn't see it. There's so many ways of going on strike, you know.
Well, just pulled that one out. But from my process of learning to recognize divine connections came through the depletion of my way of making connections.
Right.
Because I don't have a problem speaking with people. I enjoy being around people, and I like the challenge of walking into a room full of strangers and making friends, that sort of thing. So it's not like I was restricted and prohibited by God to do that. It's just that I learned that what God had to show me, he wanted to show me himself in private. He wasn't going to speak it to me through the people I met. So I tried, and believe me, I tried. I put myself in positions with people because I know how to wait and just step out at the right time and walk along and meet and say, hi, how are you? And they invite me, but nothing ever stuck. It all faded so quickly. And I was thinking that I wasn't doing it well. Maybe I'm a disappointment to God. I had to go through all of these terrible fears of what I'm not. And what I found out is God allowed me to dangle over those harsh things because he's so confident in his ability to attain what he desires to attain that my problem with me isn't a problem for him with me. And look at us now.
You know, a welcome. Let's turn it back over to Prophetess Lydia to welcome our wonderful
I see them
friends
there.
here.
Hello.
No, you saw that, and and this is this is Prophet Jimmy, and
So they say.
you all may have met. You may not remember, but I think you met back in at least 2009
Okay.
at Jason's memorial service. I think you were both there at that time, but you may not remember. There was so much going on. Anyway, go ahead.
I was just watching a bird fly.
Well, I mean, Prophetess Lydia, you want to come in, and are you live? You went away. And then
I'm
you came
live. I'm just listening to you flowing.
back. Okay.
I wanted you to do the introduction for Michelle and Alan. And
Okay. Thank you. Of course.
Please go ahead.
Okay. Alan is here. Put Alan up first,
Okay.
so people can see him. There. Okay. There we go.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, Alan.
Alan is. Oh wow, Jimmy. He's a man that's really connected to nature. If he had his way, he would like to be born in 1800, and
Oh my goodness.
to be a trapper and to be in the wilderness and build log cabins, and he's a doer and a builder, but so he carries that over in the spirit, and since he's not in the 1800s, but and he's in nature. He took me on a nature walk a little bit, and here in Louisiana, out into the bayou. And then we had last night. I want you to tell me a little bit about, tell us a little bit about how you see your life in Louisiana and growing up here, and these amazing shrimp we had last night.
Oh,
They have run me for any other shrimp from anywhere, I think, in the whole world. The shrimp here, we have to have a different name for them. I wouldn't even call them shrimp. I mean, let's call them something else, or maybe we should call all the rest of the shrimp something else. I don't know, but it's in a whole different category.
Maybe leave it there then.
Yes. I think you get my drift. Okay. So Alan and Michelle have been drawn back after being gone for maybe close to 25 years up in Virginia, where this divine connection was established, and now they're back here, and I'm here with them. So we are. So I'm going to introduce you and have Alan just whatever God has on your heart.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Bishop Bob and Prophetess Lydia. And Jimmy, it's great to meet you. Look forward to meeting you in person someday, maybe, because we're not that far apart. I'm not as accustomed or well versed with technology, I think, as you all. So bear with me. It's a little unsettling, I think, until you sort of get into a groove, being on camera and speaking into a microphone. So be patient with me. So you wanted me to kind of speak of Louisiana.
Just the natural things, just like you did with me. You were talking about the ecosystems and your relationship to them because you love it so much.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's hard to describe because it's an experience, I think, that God has just shaped me for. I grew up spending a lot of time outdoors. There's, a saying about when you do something 10,000 hours, it just becomes a part of you, and I definitely spent my 10,000 hours, I think, alone in the woods. My dad took me deer hunting a lot, and I didn't like it when I was young, but it's almost like the natural realm kind of imprinted itself upon me, and I didn't really even know it or understand it until that experience I described the last time we were on this live stream, when I was sitting in it's only been about 5 years ago, I guess, roughly, that I was sitting in a meadow, and we had moved out of a house that we were renting, and we were living on our camper, which is right there. that Bob's staying in right now.
That's my
And-
camper right now.
Yeah. And it was really, really awesome because I was just kind of reconnecting, I guess, with the natural realm after being in the wilderness of the business world for 25 years. And I could just sit and just be in the presence of the Lord after, in a way, not really, sometimes even wondering like, well, am I even really a Christian? I mean, I believe, but I didn't seem to have the same kinds of feelings and experiences that my wife does or Bishop Bob does. I'm kind of a linear thinker and might get my own way kind of person sometimes, I think. But just sitting outdoors and it just kind of all came together where I could just sit and stare at a tree, and then I would see the wind blowing through the branches, and I'd see a lot of metaphors, not trying to see anything, but it's like the trees are like people, waving their arms toward the heavens, praising God, and
Wow.
and really see the ecosystem of how God designed things in this just amazing, awesome way. The interrelationships between different species, which I had recently started studying, and realizing I'm a part of that, and really, I guess I just was at a point where I could fully let go. It brought me to a point that I could fully let go and trust 100% completely. Because there are life and death cycles and a lot of painful things, part of that, the suffering and the discomfort and the growing pains and all the things that go through it. But it was like I could just see through some kind of veil, or really I think it's seeing the natural realm. God created all this so that we could see it, so that he could teach us about himself. And I was at a place in my life, and I think I was prepared from childhood to be able to see it. And it's really hard to put it into words, but I just sort of let go. And after spending my life really trying to grasp the Lord, and I had a dream when I was young, before we moved to Virginia, I guess probably, again, going back 20, 25 years. And, pretty soon after I started to serve the Lord, I had this dream that there was this figure in kind of a desert environment, and it looked like Jesus. It was a man. He was wearing a running suit, and he was holding a torch, which was sort of like the kind of torch that like an Olympic runner would carry, like a Greek athlete. But the torch had like a plastic flame on it. It wasn't real. And he was holding it down by his side, like toward the ground. He wasn't holding it up like this. He was just holding it down by his side. But when I saw him, I immediately started to run toward him in a full sprint. And I lunged to try to grab him around the chest and apprehend him. I lunged through the air, but as soon as I got to him, he just disappeared and vanished. And I ended up face down in the dust, and he just was gone. And so I stood up, and I was kind of like, where did he go? And I turned around, and Michelle was sitting on a low stone wall, and she was praying. And it's a picture, I think, of how I approached my relationship with the Lord. If I saw something, I ran toward it. But a lot of the things I think I saw, I was maybe, you hear the term running ahead of God. And I think I was guilty of that a lot, like God would give me just a little something. So I think what God had to do for a long period of time with this wilderness experience of being in the world system was, for me, he couldn't give me very much of anything because I wouldn't handle it. I wouldn't wait. I didn't know how to wait on the Lord. I didn't know how to just trust and follow,
Wow.
I've got kind of a strong personality, and I just couldn't. Everything I have ever done, I've just thrown myself into, body, mind, and soul, and now I don't really do that. It's hard sometimes, but I've learned and being older, you know, I think makes it easier to be patient and wait and follow. I just, and it's so much easier. I just don't, in a sense, it seems like I'm not even trying, you know, his yoke is easy and his burden is light. And it's also simple. It's some kind of profound wisdom, but it's right there, you know, in the Bible. And people tried to tell me this when I was young, but I couldn't hear it. And for me, my personal journey, I just had to go through this experience to get exhausted enough, I think, to be able to chill out and let go and just follow Jesus. You know, it's as simple as that. And hope that makes sense.
No, absolutely. That's wonderful. Alan is a landscape architect. He's studied. The reason he's kind of, I mean, he's humbly speaking about some of the things that he knows, but he's comparing himself to these naturalists that can stand out there and they understand absolutely everything. And so, but however, he is, you know, he works in things that are beyond most, you know, most of us that we have, you know, very little understanding of. So when he's speaking about these things, he's speaking from his reference point of, I'd like you to tell us a little bit about that one experience with the naturalist that you had when recently, I guess it was. Can
Right.
you do
Yeah,
that?
that was 4 or
okay?
5 years ago. Sure, of course. It's a fellow in North Carolina, and you know, when I was young, I was in college. I studied. I had a lot of plants class for
You're breaking up a little
so out of this knowledge. I'm
bit.
so
You're breaking up.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, he'll come back.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay now.
Get where we can.
So when I was, I had a lot of, you know, science teachers and plants teachers, both in forestry and in landscape architecture. And these are, you know, a lot of Harvard graduate, you know, some of the best in the United States. And so I went to North Carolina, and this is in Virginia. I went to North Carolina near the time when I sat in the meadow and had the experiences reconnecting, I guess, with, you know, when God was showing me things in a new way. And we would go on these nature walks, and this guy who had really done his 10,000 hours, I guess, in the outdoors, had just this profound wisdom and understanding, because his knowledge was not so singular. Or most people who have PhDs in natural sciences, they study one thing, or they study in a general way. But he had this real, and it was very, I think it was because he gained these things personally, just through his own passion of, like, we'd go out into the forest and just stop in one spot and spend 30 or 45 minutes talking about the relationship of a tree to the plants growing underneath the tree, to birds that nested in the tree, and the mushrooms and mycorrhizae and microorganisms that were in the soil under the tree. And it was mind-blowing, because the complexity, like, it's almost like the less you look at, the more you can see, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so, like, he was explaining how if a tree, for example, doesn't use a lot of calcium, then what happens is the neural network of mushrooms, they have it's literally a web of these fibers that look kind of like plant roots.
Yeah, but
throughout the forest, really large
I can go
scale,
up in any
communicate through the forest to other areas to say,
this is something else.
I'm sorry?
Carry on, Alan.
Am I okay? And so they communicate to other areas of the forest that, hey, there's an excess of calcium over here. And so communicates literally to plants to come over here and propagate under this tree where we have more calcium. And so there's there's almost like a exchange or a commodity exchange of resources that God has designed into the forest floor and a neural network to communicate these resources to different living things in the forest. And it's also perfectly balanced. There's no waste. And so being able to look at that as a model, God has given us, it says, throughout the Bible, throughout the Psalms especially, that he's created these things so that we can learn how to organize ourselves. We can get inspiration. It's an analogy or a metaphor. Just like we say, the family, the church is supposed to act like a family. Well, what do families do? They sit at a table and eat together, just like we did last night with Bishop Bob. But a lot of churches don't do that. They go and receive a teaching and then go home, but they don't really relate to one another like families and take care of one another like families. And so I think by looking at natural patterns and natural relationships, we can, and just quiet our minds, we can see the physical representation of relationships of plants and animals in the natural realm. Birds are like, angels. They're a physical representation of angels. They sing and praise God in the morning, and they carry these messages around, and the neural network of the mushrooms are sending messages, and there's all kind of communication going on, and we hear it all the time so much that we tune it out. But it's worship. All the creation is worshiping the Creator. And we take it for granted.
We're
And
about ready
it's
to
a
go down.
beautiful thing to see.
Alan, we're trying to maintain our composure.
Yeah, I don't know if
here,
I'm
but
breaking up. I can't hear.
No, it's
I'm
beautiful.
sorry.
It's beautiful. Bishop is just trying to stem the flow, but it's okay to let him flow.
No, I'm not trying to stem the flow. I'm just telling him, wow, this is amazing, and the presence of God is just in this. It's beautiful. Thank you so much.
It's beautiful.
Extraordinary. Now I saw Michelle come in and out.
She just
Is
left
she
it.
is she back yet, or?
I think she may have been having trouble with the signal too.
The signal. She's trying to
I
find.
actually came around to the.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in the backyard. I'm right by her office where the router is, because I thought, well, maybe that would.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, Alan.
You know what?
Alan,
she's standing right here.
Okay. Well, I
Can
don't
you hear
want
me
to stem
okay?
the flow.
Very
Yeah,
well.
we can hear you. We hear you great. But
Okay, good.
We want more. We want more of this, Alan. Well, we may not have time today.
I do too.
But we want more and more and more, and we are going to have you come back, and because this is so important that we see how God is moving in what we would call the little things, the little seeds, and we're looking at the tree, but we're missing the root system. We're missing all the stuff that you're talking about, and we need to understand it, and more and more. So anyway, you're coming
Training
back
that I was talking
later.
about.
We're making room for you. But we want to hear from Michelle, from our young prophetess Michelle here, and we've heard from Pastor Alan. He's a pillar, is what he is. He's a pillar in the church, and God sees that and knows that, and we do too. And they're both dreamers of dreams. They even dream the same dream sometimes. Alan and Michelle. Have you ever heard of that? People dreaming the same dreams.
It's cool.
Isn't that cool?
It's cool.
That's how close they are. They've been married since about high school and college, sometime around then. They've known each other for a long time, and God's knit them together. Another divine connection.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you want to continue?
I just wanted to mention I'm going to have to break away shortly in because it's getting near 1:00 and I have some appointments this afternoon. But I look forward to hanging out with you guys again. I'm going to miss this. This is a wonderful thing. Alan, it's great to meet you.
Same
I
here,
think
Jimmy. Thank you.
I think we're going to have to compare life notes.
I'd love to do that.
Spent a few hours outside in the seasons, and Bob, I'm going to have to get to know you a little more. I'm liking our friendship so far.
Oh. Oh.
You sound a little skeptical still, but I don't blame you.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I was just
I'm
saying
warming
that,
up to him too.
yeah, you know, he's got so much oil on him, he slips out of your hands, you know.
Right.
Well,
Slippery.
But he's not one of them slip characters. He's pretty oily.
You're
And,
supposed to add to my reputation. I take away from
Well,
it.
I'm learning from you all. I'm learning all about him.
Well, this is our American male humor, you know.
You're right.
We pretend we're beating, but we beat the air. We don't actually connect.
Yeah.
And, Prophetess Lydia, I want to thank you for helping me proceed to where it's smooth now. And I was ready to learn because now I got this computer on my lap. So we'll do more of this. And I'm actually sitting in my chair that I look out the window at all the time. So it's like it got real smooth now, you know.
Yeah.
So Alan, you look like you're in a comfortable place there. I'm looking at the background. And, Bob's in your house, and that's a very nice cabinet I saw. Maybe you made it. I don't know. And Prophetess Lydia, when I saw the background of you, I thought, I'm going to have to go stay at their house. I love that view. I didn't understand. Yeah. Like, I don't know why we don't have this form out on that deck, you know, but
Right.
Should be.
Bob informed me.
Right.
Well, thank you for including me. How do I sign out? Just hit like the X, leave studio?
Yes, but it's a pleasure, such a pleasure to have you. And we've been on before 4:00, before the radio program, and you came back after the radio program. So it's been a long time. We will send you the link for Noonday Forum on Monday if you will be available.
Sure.
Lovely. God
I'll
bless
be
you.
looking for it.
Thank you, Prophet Jimmy.
Okay. Ciao for now.
God bless you.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Shalom, shalom. There you go. That's it. Okay. Do you want to continue until Bishop returns, Alan?
Where was I?
You were talking about the church should act like a family.
Okay.
Yeah.
We had a great discussion last night about just using patterns, you know, and communion being a real meal. You know, it wasn't just a symbolic ritual, you know, like so often it's practice. And I don't mean to be critical of symbolism or practice, you know, or even ritual. I'm not criticizing anybody or anything, but I've always had it in my heart for the church to act more like a family, you know, and families gather around a table and break bread together. And the way I read the Bible, that's what Jesus and his disciples did. And that's what they were doing in the book of Acts. They were really eating meals together. And so, you know, just using natural patterns, I think, to comprehend the things of the Lord. And they're really very simple and much easier. Like, I can't remember last time, I don't want to repeat myself, but we were talking about, at least Bishop Bob and I were talking about no-till gardening, which is very different than modern agriculture. Modern agriculture sort of clears the land and puts out a bunch of chemicals, and it's a very heavy-handed approach, as opposed to the forest floor, like I was describing about that tree, where there's a natural ecosystem that's very efficient and very easy. And gardening is so much easier when you do it the way, work in conjunction with God's creation, as opposed to sort of clearing God's creation out of the way and bringing heavy technology, heavy machinery.
Mm.
And I think one of the things I said was, as a landscape architect, I practiced for 25 years in Virginia. And then when I went to North Carolina and I started to see these things, I had heard of a lot of this throughout my life, organic, no-till gardening, different things. But I'd never really absorbed it, or it sounded a little bit like, yeah, well, that's what hippies do, it didn't really grab me as something I could do or needed to do. But then when it finally got through, I was like, I've got to learn all over. Like, I've learned so many things my entire life and practiced things incorrectly. And there's an easier, better, more sustainable way. And I feel the same is the case for the body of Christ. There's an easier, better, more sustainable way.
Yes.
But we have to break away from the old paradigms to be able to practice God's paradigms. And we have to know each other. We have to love each other. We have to trust each other like a family. And in a lot of ways, quit trying so hard. And that's a big part of what I think I got in Virginia is quit trying so hard, and relax and let God organize, let him be the head, where all the thoughts and ideas come from. Let and just relax and fit in wherever you fit in and do whatever he tells you to do. Do your job, figure out what your job is and do it in the body of Christ, and do it faithfully, and don't overthink it. So I don't know if that.
I like the way you make it sound simple, Alan. Just quit overthinking, take it easy on yourself. And personally, for me, with my walk with the Lord, it took a while for me to really understand what it means to letting go and let God, that kind of thing. Just don't be hard on yourself. These are the things I tell people these days, because before that, for me, like if I miss my morning prayers, kneeling on my knees with my Bible before me, I would be so hard on myself, like, oh my goodness, I missed that time. But God is not concerned about those little things. It's all about the matters of the heart, isn't it? So can you expand a bit? Maybe there's somebody who's watching and they're struggling with their walk with the Lord because they don't keep up to these routines. You talk about it's something here that I put up. What have we learned and practiced all our lives? There are things that we have learned and practiced all our lives, and it does weigh us down. Because for me, like, growing up, kneeling at the bedside and spending that little time to pray, it was a practice. But for me, it's like, I never understood that I could just move along the day, throughout the day with the Lord. I remember when I just got married to Bishop, and in our early days, I would say to him that, but we're not praying. We should be praying in the morning and praying in the afternoon. Here we go to bed at night. He said, don't you pray all the time? I just went quiet. Like, yeah, it should be all the time thing. It shouldn't be just like that special time in the morning, or that special time in the afternoon, or that special time in the evening. It should be all the time. And I started practicing this, and I realized that, my goodness, how we have missed out on these traditional things that we have learned and practiced all our lives. Like you got to wear your clothes a certain way, and you got to do things. And it's just a burden, we just got to move along. And so could you just expand on that a bit? Like, the things we have learned and practiced all our lives. That's just a point that you really touch right there. So just expand on that, please.
Well, I think in my experience, first, we're all different. Obviously, we're all coming from different backgrounds, and we have different paradigms or ideas or structures or things we've been taught and told, and it is hard to break away from old ideas, and we have different old ideas, and and the boundaries are set in pleasant places for all of us, but those boundaries are different for each one of us.
Wow. Oh.
And so it's hard to kind of give a one size fits all, because if we could, it would be sort of I mean, nature is very dynamic and everything is different shapes and sizes. There's similarities in families and groups, but looking at a natural pattern, every different plants have different requirements. Like I said, different soil nutrients and an excess of this or a deficiency of that. And that's, God's ways are not our ways. And so our tendency is to want to control things essentially. And even in our spiritual lives, we can make that mistake to try to control things. And even through prayer, trying to get the spiritual life into a practice or a system of belief or whatever that we have some sense of control over. And I think the point is that to let go of that and recognize that, we really are never good enough. Our best works really are filthy rags, and our ideas and our ways are not God's ways. And so in whatever way that it applies to each of us, because we're all different, because the boundaries are different, I think just being willing to walk away from all of it and abandon ourselves to God's will for our lives. And that's going to look different for everyone. It might look similar. God will lead us to people who are similar, but it might be very different because we have different callings, different gifts, and he takes pleasure in that. So it requires an ability to, it requires a humility, which is the root word is humus, like soil, down to earth. It requires honesty, because he is the truth, right? And you have to be honest to receive the truth, as opposed to walking in lies and error, even self-imposed or imposed by the generations that have gone before us or whatever. But following that hunger that he puts in our heart, and then learning. I think to more specifically answer your question, learning to about God's grace, and that it's not necessary. His yoke is easy and his burden is light. That we don't have to carry or impose those burdens on ourselves that are heavy and that are not light, and they're not easy. They're hard burdens. The burden that we have to do this or we have to do that or we're not going to be good enough. We're not, but that's okay because he is, and we're joined to him, and his spirit is in us, and it's okay to relax and trust that he's working in our lives, and you have to walk that out. I mean, you kind of get it in your head in a sense, but it has to be something that I think you have to experience often enough that you finally get it through your thick head that it's true. It's not just a good idea, or it's not just a teaching anymore. It drops into your heart in a way that it's reality now. This is the real reality. Everything else is kind of an illusion or something that's not fundamental reality. But he is the only fundamental reality. And then I think that's the building your house on a rock. And once you're on a firm foundation, well, now you can build your life. Now you can move forward in relationship with yourself, in relationship with him, in relationship with others in a healthy way, and not put others under the hard, heavy burden and yoke that you were under, because we can only give others what we have. And if you're trying to do it in your own strength, well, you're going to expect others to do it in their own strength and put people in bondage. You're not going to trust God enough to set people free. But if you trust God, then you're not trying to do that anymore.
Wow.
Well,
Trust
do y'all
God.
are you all feeling the same peace I'm feeling?
Awesome. Trust God enough to set people free. I believe somebody's been ministered to this afternoon, Alan. This is just wonderful. Don't try to control things. It's okay to relax and trust. Somebody's been ministered to. Sometimes when we hear these words and we think, is that cliche? I've heard it before. Trusting God. you don't have to control. Alan, I just want you to hone in, just hammer in a bit more on, helping somebody, because you've walked this walk, helping somebody to understand the importance of not controlling, not really holding on to these traditional ways, and just allowing and relaxing and trusting. Wow. Somebody
Beautiful.
said some.
Yeah. Gosh.
What does it mean to you? I know your experience will help somebody else to not control,
Yeah.
to let go, relax, and trust.
Well, I think the desire to control is rooted in fear.
Mm,
We're afraid of consequences. If we're not, we feel like if we're not in control, if we are putting ourselves at the center of our reality, of center of the world, then there's all kinds of things where if we have attachments, we're attached to our children, we're attached to the people we love, we're attached to our possessions or our well-being, our basic human needs to pay our bills, to deal with sickness, and we have really a choice to either trust God with those things, regardless of the outcome, and
mm,
truly let go, or try to control them because we're afraid of what will happen if we don't get what we want.
mm,
And it's a real pickle of a situation for human beings because we're, we love our family, we love our children, um, we need what we need. We were created with certain needs. And when we're faced with the potential of damage or loss, I mean, that's why we have insurance policies and all these complicated things in the world. And it's not that those things are wrong in and of themselves, but in our hearts, what God wants for us is to not trust any human solution, even not even really trust our own prayer efforts and our own
mm,
intellectual efforts it
mm.
says, lean not on your own understanding, acknowledge him in all your ways. All is a big word, and he will direct your paths. He'll direct your path. His word is a lamp to our feet and a light to our path. So, um, reading the Bible, of course, reading the Psalms brings comfort and trusting, and then that reprograms our mind and forms neural pathways in our brain that we can get away from these self-directed habits and learn in the natural how to live our lives and walk out habits that are directed by the Holy Spirit. Um, and it's so easy. It sounds complicated. When I was young and I heard people saying things exactly what I'm trying to describe, I just couldn't wrap my brain around how to do it. It seemed so far over my head, but it's really, really simple. It's just relax and live your life and trust your father. He loves you like you're a little child. And little children playing outside, they're not worried about if their parents are going to be able to put food on the table. They just assume that they will, and um I know there's some complicated things we have to deal with and some horrible, horrible situations we have to face in life. And I don't mean to minimize those things, but the only answer we have, the only anchor, the only true rock foundation is Jesus. And putting our hope and our trust in him, our Father in heaven, he loves us and he's good. And even if it means facing death, I mean, it's all on the table. Nothing in this life and is guaranteed. Even if it means the loss of something we value dearly, it's still it's all on the table, and it's all by his design, and he's got it all under control. And our job is to just let go and trust him.
Mm.
Amen. Wonderful. It's said so simply and honestly. It's easy, makes it so much easier to connect to. Really beautiful.
I thank you for that, Bishop. I've preached on this topic before, trusting God even when there's no reason to trust him. You feel like there's no reason to trust him, but trusting him anyway. And even preaching it, and it's like personally, like you said, we've got things to do, we got family to attend to, and you want, you humanly, you want to be in control, you want to work it out. And
Right.
I know I've asked you the question before, but that trusting, that letting go,
Mhm.
relaxing. You use the word relax, which is quite a big word, because that relaxes you. When you're relaxing, you're just like, I'm
Mhm.
relaxed, doing nothing. How can
Mhm.
you do nothing when you got to do, you got to put food on the table,
Right.
get
Right.
things going. How can I just relax I mean, I know you're thinking about responding, but let me just say something here. When I
Sure.
just
Sure.
got married to Bishop, I call him Bishop when we're live, but it's Bishop Baby when we're not. So
Yes.
when
Of
we
course.
just got married, and there was a little thing that was between us, like when we're going somewhere, if we're going
Mhm.
somewhere, and he would be ready and waiting, but his waiting was like he would be on the computer on his phone, and I'm
Mhm.
like, baby, I'm ready. And he would say, I'm ready. I've been ready a long time. I would look at him and be thinking, you're not really ready because you're not waiting. And I was like, you'd never find me waiting like that. I don't just wait like that.
Right.
And it was something that was just so hard for me to accept, because waiting is waiting. But he would be
Yeah.
ready, standing at the door and be doing something. And I
Mhm.
couldn't get it. I couldn't, because waiting is just like, for those who take the bus, if you're waiting for the bus, you're waiting.
Mhm.
Trusting God, you're meant to trust God. But he was like, I am wait, baby, this is me. I am waiting.
Mhm.
No, that's not waiting. So if you understand where I'm coming from, how do you
Mhm.
just trust and relax and wait when there's so much to do? I've got to get going. My life is the clock
Right.
is ticking, and you get where
Right.
I'm coming from. So over to you.
Well, I think there's a time for everything under the sun, right? And I think there's a time for waiting and there's a time for doing. There's a time to get moving. And so I don't think it's necessarily just always waiting. I think it's just knowing how to wait or learning how to wait when it's time to wait. So, I mean, there's certainly things we're not supposed to do, I mean, but, there's a time to be engaged and then there's a time to disengage. There were times when Jesus spoke to the multitudes and he engaged with his disciples and he engaged with the multitudes, but then there were times he stepped away and went into the wilderness. And so, um, there are times when I think, um, like I said, the majority of my life, it's not been as relaxed as I make it sound. This is just the season I'm in, I think, and the time when some things are really coming together for me in my walk with the Lord. That maybe I can share these kinds of perspectives, and it helps someone who's in a season where that's not where they are, so that it gives hope. That they know where if they don't quit or don't give up, that they'll get through whatever they're going through,
Mm,
and that there will be a season or a time of rest after they're finished going through the battle they're in. Because when someone's suffering or someone's in a battle, this kind of talk about relaxing doesn't make sense. Like, what do you mean relax? I can't relax. I'm a single mother and I've got 5 children who are depending on me to work 3 jobs.
mm,
She can't relax. There's no time to relax.
mm,
And, my heart breaks for someone who's in that circumstance. It's a luxury to be able to relax. I mean, there might be times, waking up at 2 in the morning when, it's just her and the silence and she can be alone with the Lord, but she's on, she's going.
mm,
So, yeah, there's a time for everything. And I think we're all, we're in this growth process and, growing pains like a young tree. grows. Again, I just use these natural examples. There's a lot of, storms going through, and it's getting blown over on its side, and then it's the sunlight, and it stands back up, and it's kind of crooked now, and maybe branches get broken off, but it just keeps growing and keeps growing. And then someday, it's an oak tree, and it's big enough and strong enough that the same degree of storm can come through, and the branches are heavy enough, maybe they don't break as much, and they don't get swayed by the winds of life, as the storms of life, as much as when it was young. It's not as vulnerable, and so it's like, okay, here we go, another storm. I know how to just stand here where I'm planted and grow and do what I'm supposed to do. But the younger one doesn't really. It's just trying to grow and get to the sunlight. I don't know. Maybe that's silly, but
No, that's good.
it's an arc of time, and we're all growing, and we're all
Mm.
it's not a one size fits all, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's such a difficult paradox, the waiting and resting in God and also working at the same time. I struggled over that for so long. I almost hated my work. Even though I loved
Yeah,
it,
me
I
too.
hated it.
Yep.
And but there came that time that I've spoken about in 1985. The Lord led me. I was really struggling, and I had to, as you were talking about, Alan, I had to release everything to God and say, it's your kingdom first, your will first, not mine. I don't care anymore. I'm not holding on to anything other than you and your word and whatever you show me to do.
Mm-hmm.
And in that process, I entered into rest while working.
Right.
I entered into constant, I would say pretty much constant, like faith in his provision, but because I wasn't holding on to any particular expectation concerning that. I just thought, it's your business now, not my business. I'm not talking about my cabinet making business, but I'm talking about my life.
Mm-hmm.
My life is now your business and not my business.
Yeah.
And like Prophetess Lee is saying, I'm on the computer or something and while I'm waiting for her. Well, I can stop doing that in a split second because that's what I do. Well, he's called me to be a introspective kind of thinker, and that's what I do. I can't go over and pick up a concrete block because it's supposed to be picked up. I have to think about it in order to do it.
Right.
And other people, my brother, and I know maybe you're that way, you pick it up, boom,
Mm-hmm.
and you do what is supposed to be done, and you do this and you do that. And I'm not like that. But during that period of time, I entered into this kingdom rest because I was seeking first his kingdom. I'm looking into people's eyes to see if they're supposed to be in the kingdom or they are in the kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm hunting for. I'm hunting for the light. I'm following the light.
Mm-hmm.
And he's talking to me, and I'm praying, 24/7 almost. And so you're always in rest no matter what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have manual labor, we have physical labor, but then we have the anxiety that, as you were talking about, comes from fear, and then we're wanting to control. But when we enter into his rest and he says, be anxious for nothing, he's not saying that there aren't burdens, there aren't problems, there aren't money difficulties.
But perfect love casts out all fear.
Right. So then you're not afraid, then you're not trying to control, you're walking in his paths. And he's directing you and you're hearing his voice.
Right.
And you may not even know exactly that it's his voice. But you learn in that process, oh, that was his voice. This is his voice.
Yeah.
As you're following in that release of the circumstances of your life and your own life itself, your own body, your life, everything, into the hands of the Lord. And doing as you were saying concerning taking on his yoke,
Hmm.
and because his burden is light, and he's doing all the heavy lifting.
Right.
You're just in the yoke with him, and you're following.
Yeah, that made no sense to me when I was young. When I was raising a family and trying to find jobs and trying to almost living hand to mouth, trying to pay the bills, that just did not make any sense to me at that time. It was true,
No,
but I just
right.
didn't have the ability to see it. And I kind of feel like one of the purposes of life, there are a lot of purposes, but one of the things that we have all these paradoxes and conundrums and things like that that are designed to break us really and get us to let go and set us free. And they seem like problems. They seem like, and they are problems. I mean, they're very real world problems,
Right. Yeah.
but they're there to teach us if we can just learn to trust and learn to see. And, his word is there to guide us, the lamp that lights
Right.
our path, So it takes time. It doesn't happen. There are moments of illumination where you get something, but it takes time to get it into your heart to the point. And for me, it took 25 years to get it to the point
Mm.
that I hope I finally got it and I won't let it go,
Mm-hmm.
that no matter what storm comes my way, because storms are a part of life, and their seasons. I'm hoping I don't lose the ability to look at my life and the world, the life around me this way. Um,
Mm.
it doesn't seem
Beautiful.
like something that I'm not trying to like elevate myself, but I mean, it doesn't. I was concerned for a while, like, boy, I really hope I don't lose this, because a lot of
Yes.
things, it's an
Right.
illumination, and you think it's everything, and then you kind of go back to normal life, and you forget about the lesson the Lord just
Yes.
showed you,
Yes.
And this
Right.
this seems a little different for me, and it's been like I said, 4, 5, 6 years now that it's been
Mm-hmm.
5 or 6 years now that I've had this point of view, and I've had this peace really that hasn't gone away, and I'm
Mm.
so grateful for it. It's not something
Mm.
that I did; it's something that God almost kind of forced me to get in my heart and my spirit.
Mm.
Wow.
Wow, that's so beautiful. I know there's so many
Mm.
people here and they're feeding from what's going on, and I just want to share a little something. Talking about getting to that place of rest and relax and trust. And I remember, my son, when I used to go to the supermarket, he used to love fizzy drink. And I used to like, especially when it's hot, love a fizzy drink, like
Hmm.
7-Up and Fanta. And I always go for the different colors, like the yellow and the orange and the green. So I would get my
Hmm.
trolley and I would fill the trolley with the yellow, the orange, the green. And I realized my son at the age of 15, I had to take him to, he went to the dentist and it's like having tooth decay. And I thought, I'm not a good mother right there, because he's been binging on these and he just loved this fizzy drink. And I'm
Hmm.
like, we're going to cut this thing out. When I saw what it did to him, I'm like, seriously, we don't even need to buy this thing. So I would walk in the supermarket, and when I see the fizzy drinks, I would like run away from the aisle. It's like, I don't need that in my life. There was a
Hmm.
time when that's the first place I would go to get all 5 bottles. But now I
Hmm.
don't need that thing. And I would pass the sugar shelf and I don't need sugar. And there's certain things that I was just, I don't need. And I just reflect like, wow, it's not that I've arrived in such a way that I don't need these things, but when I saw the danger, I look at the danger that it's doing. Do I want to
Hmm.
continue to kill myself? Or don't I love myself enough to
Yeah.
run away from it? And so it is with spiritual things. As I listen to Alan talking, I hear process. I keep hearing process. A lot of people
Mm.
don't want to go through this. We will get to that place of rest. We'll get to that place of
Hmm.
not wanting the sugar, not wanting fizzy, not wanting. We'll get to that place where you've got to go through the
Mm.
process. You've got to experience, and we may feel like, oh Lord, I'm born again, but I want to get to that place of rest. But I think
Mm.
am I the only one here? Like Sister Nadine is saying, it's a process. We tend to miss this a lot, and sometimes we make it a cliche. The process, but genuinely, it's that process that will get you to
Yeah.
the place of that
Amen.
peace. Like you're not wanting to, like you're saying, I'm not saying that I've arrived, but I don't want to miss this. I don't want to lose this peace. I don't want to
It's
lose
precious. Yeah.
where I'm at right now, what I've been through to get here. No
Mm.
way, I don't want to lose this. I mean,
Amen.
my son, the last time he went to the dentist and they did a filling and it was white filling and he opened his mouth and it was all pretty. And I'm like, yeah, we need to get off that horrible thing that has messed you up. So he's kind of scared of even getting into fizzy drinks. So it is with spiritual things, you go through the process and halfway through, you may sense that this is not good for me. But the Bible talks about the hardness of the heart. When our heart is hard, we tend to ignore the pull of God, ignore what God is saying, and then keep going until we are rotten and cannot even be made any good of, if that makes sense. But we want to listen to his voice and we want to be drawn. Wow.
Amen.
Over to you, Bishop. This is just
Wonderful. Thank you.
Sister
Well,
Nadine.
I'm supposed to go to Houston here, and it's about a 5-hour drive. So I'm going to have to leave pretty soon. It's
Yes,
12:33 here,
I
and I
know.
don't
It's
want to drive. I don't want to drive in the dark. So
Bishop,
I'm
let me
going to.
just read one comment before we end. Sister Nadine says, sometimes we are in such a rush to get to the end when we should just the journey.
Enjoy the journey. Absolutely
Yes.
wonderful, Nadine. That's beautiful
Yes.
because it's all about the journey. It's all about the journey. We're
Alan
always
talks
looking into
about
destinations.
one other thing Alan said is that when he was younger and when he was struggling to feed his family, I love the authenticity, tripping on that word,
Yeah.
of the way he says this, because there are people who do struggle like this, and it's like
Right.
quiet desperation. Nobody should know, but here we are. We have been there, and like Paul would say, I've not yet arrived. I've not, but there's this peace of God, he's sharing this rawness that, yes, there was a time when I struggled to feed my family, toughness, but you going through, enjoy the journey.
Amen. Can't
Sister,
say that
Yes.
enough.
any final word before we go, Alan?
Yeah, no, I would just say that back then it was not all struggle and darkness. I mean, God was just as faithful then as he is now. The difference was that I didn't have the ability to trust it, I think, as well as I do now, because I didn't have the perspective. When you get a little older and you have perspective, you learn to go, okay, I can really, really trust the Lord now. And back then I was trying to trust the Lord while I was doing, or I felt like I was doing everything. And I would get the signs, the little breadcrumbs, like we refer to, the markers along the way, these just mysterious things that would fall into place, or answers, sometimes things I didn't even know I needed, but encouragement from the Lord, just little mini miracles that only I saw, or something that Michelle and I maybe shared, and he's with you and he will encourage you and he will give you those things. And you might think it's not nearly enough and you feel like you're walking through a desert and you need more than just a tiny drink of water every now and then. You need to drink a lot of water because this is a real desert. You're really baking in the sun of your suffering and your difficulty. And I get it. I understand. And I probably haven't suffered nearly as much as many of you have. But God gives you those things and you can't deny that he's faithful to you. And that's what you have. And even though it may not feel like enough, it is enough. If you needed more, he'd give you more. He's building something in you. He's building strength, and he's, a natural analogy of this is in when we build gardens or we lay sod. I don't know if everyone knows, but it's grass that we cut square pieces of and carry them on a truck to a property that's bare soil, and we lay sod down, or we seed the area that we want to be a lawn. And so the seeds are growing. And what does a seed need when it's on dry soil? It needs to be watered, right?
Mm.
And so in my career, mostly a lot of what I saw was people putting too much water and causing a lot of problems, giving the seeds or the small plants too much water because they really cared about it and they don't want to watch it suffer, and they paid for it and they want it to thrive. But what happens is if you water it too much, it doesn't have to grow. It doesn't have to put down deep roots. And so if you hold back on the water and give it just enough that it doesn't die, but it has to struggle some, it puts down deep roots, which is in the long term going to make a much healthier plant and much stronger lawn, much stronger turf. And it takes time, and you're going to have to watch the leaves wilting in the sun, and it looks like it needs water, and the temptation is to rush in like a parent wanting to overprotect their child, but they've got to suffer and struggle a little bit to get strong and to build the skills and strengths that they're going to need to survive and thrive in the world. And so the same thing applies to us. God, when we're young, doesn't give us too much water so we can put down deeper roots and reach the nutrients that you'll love this, Bishop Bob. The most nutrients, tree leaves are the most nutritious vegetable on earth.
Really?
And the reason and some tree leaves are edible, but the reason is because on the surface of the earth, you have a lot of organic matter and humus, which we always think of as being really good for plants, and it is. But the reason it's that way is because we have trees, and trees are a picture of human beings on the earth. And tree roots are a lot deeper than any other plant, right? Well, down deep in the ground is where the most minerals are. And so what trees do, these ecosystems that I'm talking about, where you see these cycles, trees with their deep roots reach down deep in the earth and they pull the minerals up that none of the other plants can get to. And they come up through the trunk of the tree, through the bark, and then it gets in the leaves. That's the reason it's the most nutritious vegetable on earth. But then the leaves fall to the ground and bring all those nutrients that are down deep and spread those nutrients on the surface. And that's that system where I was talking about, where if there's an excess of calcium, other plants move in to take advantage of it. And so, but it wouldn't have those deep roots come through the struggle of growth. So anyway.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's beautiful stuff.
I could add something to that, but we are running out of time, and because I went out with a forest. I told you I went out with a forest agent
Right.
one time, and just briefly, all the good lumber trees are on the north side of the hill.
That's right.
Not on the south side. I would have thought south side. He said no, north side. I got to struggle over there, and just agreeing with what you're saying, but I didn't know about. I never heard about or thought about the minerals coming from these deep roots, and the leaves. The leaves are for the healing of the nations off the tree of life from the deep rooted trees of life. Wow,
that's right.
Wow.
Well, we've had a meal, and we're going to come back to this. And we won't even call it leftovers. We haven't even begun.
This is starters.
These are starters, exactly.
Yeah, appetizers.
Appetizers.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. This amazing man of God who's such a pillar. And sometimes we don't know we're pillars. Other people have to come on and lean on that pillar a little bit before we even know it.
There you go. Pillar know how strong it is, because not all pillars are strong, but you got to test it.
Well, I'm going to head out here in just a few minutes, and I'm pretty much packed up. I don't have much to do, but we will begin again tomorrow. And we'll see who can come in, and I will be in Houston, God willing, and then we'll keep on going in this journey.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Alan. Thank you, Michelle, in the background. Thanks to Jimmy in absentia and my dear hubby. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Tomorrow morning, Prophetess D will be with us for Morning Manna, and the Noonday Forum is going to get better. Thank you, Sister Zion, Sister Rana. They stayed all the way through.
Oh, wow.
Sister Rana says, will it be 1
Wonderful.
p.m.? It will be 1 p.m. because of the time changes. Okay, God bless you.
Okay.
Sister Nadine,
Okay.
Minister Sue, Reverend Tina, God bless you, everyone. Shalom, God bless
Okay,
you.
God bless them. And we will talk when I'm on the road. I'll give you a call.
Okay, my love. Michelle said she was having difficulty. She was having audio difficulties. Sorry, but we'll have to go. Love you all. That's a message from
Okay.
Michelle. So see you guys
Okay.
tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. Isn't it, Sister Nadine, just wonderful? Please join us tomorrow, 1 o'clock. It only and can only get better. Sister Sharon, good to have you here. Sister Zion, thank you, thank you. Sister Ron, Sister Sako need to come back and watch this afterwards. And Minister Sue, Prophetess D. Please be kind to like and share, guys. Like and share. God is bringing His body together, and this is what it's all about. Away with the old and let the new come alive. Thank you so much. God bless you. Okay. Let's call this mental yet. Thank you. Blessings, everyone. Bye-bye.